During Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood questline, the Hero of Kvatch will eliminate numerous targets for gold and the glory of Sithis. We learn a bit about each of our targets as we progress through the game, but have you ever wondered, who are the people that wanted these characters dead? What's up everyone, Big Dan here. I make videos about RPGs, and in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the people who hired the Dark Brotherhood to assassinate each target in Oblivion Remastered. We'll take a look at all the evidence we can find in-game and construct some theories for who wanted these people dead. For some characters, we can find smoking gun evidence to show their involvement, but others require a bit more speculation and theory crafting. But without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the video.
Rufio, kill him, and your initiation into the Dark Brotherhood will be complete.
After claiming an innocent life and being greeted by Lucian Lachance, we receive our initiation contract that kicks off our journey with the Dark Brotherhood. We're to head to the Inn of Ill Omen and assassinate an old bald man named Rufio who seems to be expecting us. If we speak to Rufio before plunging the blade of woe into his weak frame, he will plead for his life and reveal this.
No, please. I didn't mean to do it, you understand me? She struggled. I told her to just stay still, but she wouldn't listen. I had no choice.
So Rufio killed an innocent woman and has been on the run ever since. Clearly one of her loved ones or friends would have ample motive for taking this man's life. But does such a character exist in the game world? Well, if we visit the Imperial City, we can find a man named Claudius Arcadia residing in the dungeons. If we speak to him, he'll tell us this.
So I wanted somebody murdered, so I prayed to the Night Mother. What? Is that a crime now? They even took my house, those bastards. Ugh.
Arcadia was imprisoned for performing the Black Sacrament, which is used to contact the Night Mother and get a contract with the Dark Brotherhood. His crimes are reported in the Black Horse Courier, and we can even find the nightshade and other accoutrements of the ritual in the basement of his home. But the smoking gun is Arcadia's journal, which details his efforts to contact the Dark Brotherhood. The final lines of the journal show us his target. It worked. Last night, I was visited by someone, a representative from the Dark Brotherhood. The Night Mother heard my prayers. The money was exchanged, and the man promised me I would have satisfaction. I don't know where he's hiding, and neither does the Dark Brotherhood, but as soon as he's located, Rufio will die. In the end, we managed to get justice for Arcadia's loved one, but unfortunately, we can do nothing to get him out of prison. Yo, free my boy Claudius!
So I wanted somebody murdered. What? Is that a crime now?
What in blazes? You ain't one of me crew. You best start explaining yourself, mate.
The first proper target we receive after being welcomed into the Dark Brotherhood is a hit job on the pirate leader Gaston Tussaud. Speaking to Vicente, we learn this.
I'm not sure how you feel about pirates, but you've got to kill one. A captain, in fact, on his ship, surrounded by his crew.
Out of all the targets in this video, Tussaud is one of the ones we know the least about. But as a pirate leader, he is sure to have no shortage of enemies. Robbing and killing to make a living, there are plenty of people who would want him done away with. But alas, we lack any smoking gun that points us to our benefactor for this contract. It's also one of the few contracts which does not have an optional objective, and as we'll see, our optional objectives often point us to a motive for our dirty business.
We need you to stage an accident. Kill the target in the manner specified, and you'll receive a considerable bonus.
Our next contract takes us to the snowy hills of Bruma, where we are tasked with assassinating a wealthy wood elf named Baenlin. As Vicente lays out for us, we are to make this death look like an accident and avoid killing Baenlin's live-in bodyguard. And the reasons for this become abundantly clear once the contract is complete. After Baenlin's death, if we return to his estate, we'll find a new owner to the late wood elf's spacious home.
Oh, Cainlin's my name. Maybe you knew my uncle Baenlin. He died recently. Stuffed head fell on him. Very tragic. Well, goodbye.
Baenlin doesn't seem too bothered about his uncle's death. Putting the pieces together, it seems pretty clear that Baenlin hired the Dark Brotherhood to stage his uncle's death and make it look like an accident. Having Baenlin perish in this way allowed him to inherit his estate and avoid any trouble with the law. If it were too obvious that foul play was involved, then suspicion would immediately fall on him, as he stood to materially gain from his uncle's death. Assuming you did make Baenlin's death look like an accident, the Black Horse Courier publishes a sensational article blaming Baenlin's death on shoddy carpentry. As horrible as Baenlin's death may seem, even more horrible is the revelation that this was not an isolated incident, as previously thought. In fact, through a series of interviews and an in-depth investigation, the Black Horse Courier has learned that many of Bruma's homes are actually death traps waiting to spring. Me and my boys, we done repair work on half these houses. They're a bleeding mess. Rotted wood, rusty nails, misaligned foundations. Them Nords, they're good for drinking and killing, but they can't build a house worth a damn. The article rattles off the credentials of a Breton home builder before revealing this. When asked what he thought of the issues, Baenlin's nephew, Baenlin, who inherited his uncle's estate and is now residing in the very house where he was killed, had this to say. It was a tragic, tragic accident. I always told my poor uncle that head would fall on him someday, but would he listen? Now I've heard the rumors that some think there was foul play involved, but that's nonsense, of course. Everybody knows that this city is falling apart. It could have happened to anyone. When analyzing all the facts, this contract is clear as day. Baenlin hired the Dark Brotherhood to assassinate his uncle and make it look like an accident. In the aftermath, he moved into his late uncle's home and used the taxidermy incident to deflect any suspicions of foul play. The Black Horse Courier unwittingly participated in this scheme by stoking the flames of fear around shoddy craftsmanship in Bruma, thus generating more paper sales with their clickbait headlines. And in the end, the Hero of Kvatch lined his pockets as well, taking home a leveled amount of gold and the unique dagger Sufferthorn. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to hit that like button and go follow me on Instagram at Big Dan Gaming. I'll put a link in the pinned comment.
You'll see, you imperial dog. When I get out of here, all of Tamriel will know my name. Valen Dreth. Valen Dreth!
Our next target is the infamous Dark Elf Valen Dreth, the first ever NPC we speak to in Oblivion, who hurls racist insults at us depending on our chosen race in the character creator. But given that Dreth is a worthless, weak bum rotting in the Imperial City prison, who would want him dead? Well, thanks to some investigation by the YouTuber Dark Lordash, we were able to craft a compelling theory as to who put the hit on Dreth. In the aftermath of the Emperor's death, the Imperial City Guard upped their manpower in the prison, guarding the catacombs that the Mythic Dawn used to trap Uriel and the Blades during their failed escape. But given that there isn't much going on in the prison these days, the guards are just basically sitting on their hands wasting time. As we infiltrate the prison en route to confront Dreth, we can eavesdrop on this conversation between the guards.
Of course I'm proud to do my duty, but it's a waste of time. What are we guarding? Cold stone and shadow. That's it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, believe me. Those assassins got what they wanted. The Emperor is dead. They got no reason to come back.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But will the captain listen? No. We must have a presence. The prison must remain secure.
Yeah, what a laugh, huh? Just who are we keeping secure? Dreth? Since that other one got away, he's the only one rotting down here.
Yeah, well, I guess you can't blame Captain Montrose too much. This is his big career move, after all. Got to impress that lot upstairs.
This conversation hints at a motive, but there is more. If we sneak into the adjacent room, we'll find the guard captain Montrose's office. Montrose is chilling at his desk, perhaps pondering his investigation into the Mythic Dawn. One of the captured Mythic Dawn assassins lay dead on a table nearby, alongside Montrose's interrogation notes. But there was one more item of interest in this room. A shield propped up in the corner next to a few stalks of nightshade. Knowers will understand that nightshade is one of the key ingredients in performing the Black Sacrament, aka the ritual to contact and hire the Dark Brotherhood. It seems that Captain Captain Montrose may be dabbling in the dark arts. Could he be the benefactor for our contract on Valen Dreth? The optional objective for this quest seems to bolster this theory. In order to receive our bonus for this quest, we are not allowed to kill any of the guards in the prison. It's important to note that we do not have to remain undetected to receive the bonus, as long as we don't harm any Imperial guardsmen in the process. If the contract giver were some third party outside the Imperial City prison walls, what would they care about a few random guardsmen's lives? Unless the call was coming from inside the house, so to speak. So let's recap what we know. The Imperial City guards are stuck on a dead-end patrol on account of a singular prisoner, Valen Dreth. The guard captain Montrose has some elements of the Black Sacrament present in his office, and in order to receive a bonus for the contract, we are not allowed to kill any of the guards. With all these details in mind, I believe the guard captain ordered a hit on Valen Dreth so that his people could all get reassigned. Or maybe he just thought old Dreth was really annoying. One related detail that players who didn't play the original Oblivion would miss here is that the voice acting for the guard that confronts Dreth was changed. I, for one, prefer the original voice acting work of Wes Johnson in this scene. I'll leave it here for you to enjoy, as well as a timestamp if you simply want to skip to the next target on our list.
I have to admit, I'm gonna miss you, Dreth. The late-night beatings, your pitiful little cries for help.
Filthy cur. I told you I was going to get out of here. My time's almost up, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, well, what's it been? 7, 8 years? We've had a good long run, you and me. I always knew it would end someday.
11 years in this rat-infested hole. But I'm getting out, and you'll still be stuck in here. Yeah!
Oh, yeah? Where will you go, huh? What will you do? You can't survive out there, Dreth. You're an animal. You belong in that cage.
I'll remember that when I'm lying on the beaches of Somerset Isle with your wife, you imperial pig.
Right! And you'll be rich, too. Oh, and you'll become a king. And you know what I think, Dreth? I think you'll be back. You lot always come back.
You'll see, you imperial dog. When I get out of here, all of Tamriel will know my name. Valen Dreth. Valen Dreth!
All right. I'm tempted to let you out right now if you just shut up.
Now listen up. Skooma. You know what that is? Get me some skooma.
Francois Modier is actually our next target, but he explicitly hired the Dark Brotherhood to stage his own death to avoid brutish loan sharks, so we'll skip him and move on to the next contract on the cracked out elf Faelian. He puts the high in high elf, you know what I'm saying?
Have you heard of the High Elves?
Skooma.
Faelian is a 1%er who squandered his noble advantages on account of a skooma addiction. Today he resides at the Tiber Septim Hotel in the Imperial City with his lover Atrena, before spending a good chunk of the day getting high on skooma at either Lorkmir's house or an abandoned shack full of squatters on the waterfront. One way to learn about Faelian's schedule is to gain the trust of his lover Atrena, who will tell us this.
I followed him a few times to see where he goes. He walks around the city looking for skooma. And then he goes to Lorkmir's house for several hours. It's in the Elfin Gardens district. I think the house is deserted. That's why he goes there. So he can escape from life and do his skooma.
On the surface, it seems that Atrena really cares about Faelian and wants to see him get better. But if we dig a little bit deeper into their situation, we find a potential motive for murder. Speaking to the owner of the hotel, we learn that Atrena is bankrolling Faelian, basically acting as his sugar mama, no pun intended. Get it? Because skooma is made from moon sugar? I'll be here all week, by the way.
Faelian? Oh, I know him all right. A waste of life, that one. He lives here, you know, with his sweetheart, Atrena. What that poor girl sees in him, I'll never know. Atrena pays for their room, their food, everything. She's quite wealthy, I believe. Faelian used to have money. Used to be quite a gentleman, too. But that was before he took a fancy to the, you know, the skooma. Now Faelian's hardly ever here. He's off using skooma or wandering the city looking for some, I imagine. He comes back every night to be with a trainer, but only for a few hours, I swear. That high elf is going to wind up dead if he keeps living like this.
I just don't know what to do about Faelian. All he thinks about, all he cares about is skooma. He was a fine young man once, but he's lost everything. His looks, his money, his self-respect.
So here's what I think happened here. Atraina, having gotten sick of bankrolling Faelian's degen lifestyle and realizing he was never going to change, built up a lot of resentment and finally snapped. In her anger, she performed the Black Sacrament and hired the Dark Brotherhood to rid herself of her junky boyfriend. And allow me to play armchair psychologist for a hot minute. She feels conflicted about the decision, but rationalizes it to herself, saying that she will put Faelian out of his misery and finally give him some peace.
Using poison is so deliciously evil. I once poisoned my Aunt Stu, and she fell over dead with her face right in the bowl.
During our next contract, Bad Medicine, we're tasked with infiltrating a bandit stronghold at Fort Such and replacing their leader Roderick's medicine with poison. The contract giver wants to make it look like Roderick succumbed to his illness, so we're asked to remain undetected. Interestingly, we are allowed to kill the bandits in the stronghold, assuming we aren't spotted in the process. So what is the motive for this killing? Well, as we explore the fort, we can overhear this conversation between two of the marauders.
I just don't know. Is the medicine sustaining Roderick's life, or just postponing his death? How can he survive for so long with a fever so high?
Roderick's fever's in check, unlike your tongue. How can you think such things after all he's done for us? For you. Have a little faith.
Faith? Are you telling me we're supposed to rely on the good graces of the Divines to keep Roderick alive? Even he would laugh at such nonsense.
Then what would you propose? What more can we do? That medicine is keeping Roderick alive. For now, that's the best we can hope for.
I know, Nisha. And I meant no disrespect. It's just that I hate waiting around like this, watching him suffer.
As do we all, dear friend. Do not fear. I have been assured that the medicine will restore our Roderick to full health. But it will take some time.
Then let us trust a bit less to faith, and a bit more to our own strength. I shall guard the medicine cabinet myself, just in case.
And I shall continue my vigil at Roderick's side. It's just a matter of time before our leader returns to us. I can feel it in my heart.
I suspect this contract is an inside job. My theory is that one of Roderick's underlings arranged this assassination for one of two motives. Either they were looking to take over the gang themselves and wanted to quietly get rid of Roderick, or perhaps this was a mercy killing, as the one marauder speculated that Roderick's medicine was not making him any better. So maybe he simply wanted to end Roderick's suffering with a mercy killing. This one requires a bit of speculation, since we don't really find any smoking gun, but those are my top theories on why Roderick became a target for the Dark Brotherhood.
Kill all the guests, then leave, right? Well, you better get in there. Time to mingle.
Whodunit is one of my favorite quests in Oblivion, as we have the chance to attend a massive party and eliminate the guests one by one. Sadly, we do not have any solid information as to who owns Summitmist Manor, so while the broad motive is clear, the owner of this mansion holds a fatal grudge against all of the party attendees, the who behind whodunit remains one of the biggest mysteries in Oblivion. But what isn't a mystery is that pitting the Redguard Neville against the drunk Nord is one of the funniest moments in Oblivion for me.
Yes, we must kill that foul Nord before he slits our throats. Aye!
Whoa! Will you receive your orders directly? Instead, you will visit secret dead drops.
Affairs of a Wizard is our first dead drop contract for Lucian LeChance. The target is a necromancer named Celedaen, who is on the cusp of becoming a lich. While exploring his hideout in Leafrot Cave, we can stumble upon his journal, which reveals the details behind his transformation and a way to easily kill him. But this journal also reveals a potential motive for his assassination. A lesser mage would have fallen prey to madness by now, I'm sure of it. But I am not a lesser mage. Though they try in earnest, though their hearts and minds are true to the teachings of our great sovereign Manor, my fellow necromancers lack the complete dedication required to achieve that ultimate of goals, the state of lichdom. Not even Falkar himself can match my sheer tenacity, my unwillingness to accept failure on any level. That is why I, Celedaen, will soon join the ranks of the worm eremites, those servants favored by our sovereign above all others. I will sit with honor and obedience at his right hand, while those fools in the Mages Guild grovel at my maggot-ridden feet. Celedaen is clearly a very ambitious necromancer, and maybe a bit of a narcissist, who wants to become the right-hand man for Manor, the King of Worms. My theory is that a rival within the necromancer ranks couldn't abide by this and wanted to gain Manor favor instead of Celedaen. Perhaps even Falkar, who is directly named in this diary entry, was the architect of Celedaen's demise. In any case, all we need to do to kill this dude is pickpocket his Sands of Resolve from his inventory. So much for that power fantasy there, buddy.
Oh dear. Excuse an old woman's stupidity. You're here to pick up my gift list.
Our next contract is downright brutal, as Lucian tasks us with eliminating an elderly mother and her 4 children. The complete annihilation of the Draconis family is another one that is quite difficult to unravel, as we don't have a lot of details that point to a motive. Occam's razor would suggest an enemy of the Draconis family, or perhaps some distant relative trying to claim an inheritance by knocking off the whole family. But there are 2 admittedly quite schizo theories that caught my attention while researching this video. The first theory is that Lucian LeChance is the architect of the Draconis family slayings. One interesting detail that kind of supports this theory is that Lucian relocates from Fort Farragut to Perennia's home in Applewatch after everyone is dead. Could Lucian perhaps be an estranged relative to Mama Draconis, looking to claim his family estate? After all, Lucian is the same race as all the Draconis family members and Imperial. Or maybe he just saw an opportunity for free real estate and took it.
It's free real estate.
In any case, he doesn't get to enjoy this quaint cottage in the Bruma Mountains for long, thanks to a betrayer in the Dark Brotherhood, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The second fan theory asserts that the one who hired the Dark Brotherhood for this contract was none other than the matron of the family, Perennia Draconis. At first glance, this theory seems completely insane, but there are some interesting details that bolster its claims. For starters, let's assess the situation. If we speak to Perennia at her home in Applewatch, we learn that she is effectively estranged from all her children. If we say we're looking for her kids, she provides us with a gift list with details about Matthias, Kalia, Andreas, and Sibylla. But if we read the list, we'll find that Perennia doesn't have many positive things to say about her children. Her remarks are backhanded at best and downright rude at worst, with Andreas the innkeeper seemingly being the only child that she has anything good to say about.
My mother? No! What have you done to her? I'll kill you! Ah!
Let's start with Matthias. Matthias always was a rough and tumble lad. The last I'd heard, he'd fallen in with some pretty tough characters there in the Imperial City. I'd feel so much better if I knew he was well protected, so I'd like for you to find him a nice cuirass. Last I'd heard implies Perennia has fallen out of touch with her son, since she doesn't even have a definitive story about what he's up to. But even more vitriolic is the epitaph on Matthias's tombstone after you carry out the contract. Here lies Matthias Draconis. His mother always told him he'd wind up dead if he didn't clean up his life. Perennia has even harsher words for her daughter Sibylla, who ran off to live in a cave with animals like some druidic freak. Yes, my daughter lives in a cave, and no, I'm not very happy about it. Sibby has always loved animals almost as much as Andy loves beer, and a couple of years ago she apparently thought it's a good idea to abandon the Empire and live as a savage with the rest of the animals. In that time, I'm afraid Sibby has kind of cracked. She's basically as wild as the beast she lives with. Sibylla's tombstone epitaph is also, well, let's just read it. Here lies Sibylla Draconis. She died as she lived, like a beast. Perennia's comments about her second daughter, Kalia, are also pretty backhanded. My beautiful Kay, my dearest daughter broke so many hearts when she was younger, but now that she's an officer in the Imperial Legion, I'm afraid she's let herself go a bit. Not gotten fat, by Mafala, not that, but she's settled into a more practical kind of look. Even a bit boyish, I guess you could say. If we speak to Kalia, she'll let us know that she really should visit her mother more, but doesn't seem to hold much urgency for that.
My mother? Oh, do you know her? She's such a sweet woman. I've been a terrible daughter, I'm afraid. I simply must visit more often. Anyway, I have duties to tend to. If you see my mother, tell her I'll visit soon, I promise.
We can also get some more details from Kalia if we speak to her before the Next of Kin quest is active.
I came to Leowin after a tour in the Legions. Poor mother. She hoped I'd choose the chapel or civil service, or perhaps even marry well.
One other interesting detail from the gift list is that Perennia says by Mafala when speaking about Kalia, not by the Nine, which is the customary exclamatory phrase amongst the people of Tamriel. Why swear on a Daedric prince instead of the 9 divines? It seems a bit odd, but where it gets even stranger is that Elder Scrolls lore points to the Night Mother being an incarnation of Mafala. You know, the Night Mother who guides the Dark Brotherhood. So with all of these details in mind, we can craft a theory of what happened here. Feeling abandoned by all of her children and tired of living alone, could Perennia have built up so much resentment and spite that she put out a hit on her entire family, herself included? It's kind of wild to think about, so let me know what you think in the comments below.
No! I'm too late. I thought I could get here in time. Thought I could stop you!
The next few contracts are a bait and switch, as a betrayer within the Dark Brotherhood tricks the Hero of Kvatch into assassinating members of the Black Hand by switching out Lucian's dead drop orders. There are some clues we can find along the way, as our targets are increasingly dangerous and seem to know we are coming. Astute players can also discover Black Hand gear among many of these targets' possessions. But it isn't until we assassinate the Wood Elf Ungolem in Breville that we learn that we have been misled. We will eventually learn that the betrayer is another Black Hand member named Matthew Bellamont. After tracking down his hideout in the basement of the Anvil Lighthouse, we can discover a journal of Bellamont's ravings, along with a motive for his enmity for the Dark Brotherhood. The entries have a lot of incoherent ramblings, but it also details how his mother was killed by a Dark Brotherhood assassin, an assassin none other than Lucian Lachance. Bellamont infiltrated the Dark Brotherhood to take revenge on Lachance, as well as the Night Mother. Someday soon, I will learn the truth about the Night Mother, and when I do, I will use that trust to get close to her. Close enough so that I may rend her head from her body, just as Lucian Lachance did to you so long ago. In Bellamont's hideout, we'll also find a shrine to his mother, complete with her severed head. I can't even imagine the smell, dude. It might even be worse than Asmongold's room. Interestingly, we can get some unique dialogue with Bellamont if we show him his mom's head and then initiate a conversation.
What? What is that? Is that a head? No, it can't be. Sorry, Speaker, I'm distracted.
Anyhow, bro really pulled off the long con with this questline, and he was successful in all ways except one. He never got to take out the Night Mother at the end of his journey, but he did get his revenge on Lucian Lachance.
You should take some time to admire his corpse. It really is a thing of beauty. The punctures and slashes are almost poetic.
So there you have it. We've explored all of the Dark Brotherhood targets in Oblivion Remastered, and some theories as to who wanted these people dead. What do you think about the theories laid out in this video? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Oblivion and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.